Sevhead Creative at sevhead.com presents the audio web series Epyphany, Born from the Sea, written and produced by Don Sev Severance and narrated by Professor Proteus. Episode 11. Chapter 28. Water Kingdom. Samu deftly avoided the dangerous debris and sped away from the silver fin, resuming her course to Mumbai. Meanwhile, the tribe gathered around Storm and headed to the nearest safe harbour. Dali, determined to keep tabs on Epyphany, did his best to keep up with Samu. Sarja's team arrived at the scene in time to capture video of Thoreau transferring his strange catch from the lift net to his deck. The footage was blurred and shaky, but it would at least implicate Thoreau in the destruction of Pisces' property. Without time to review the clip, they quickly uploaded it with an update on their situation. Moments later, they watched Thoreau speed away. Keeping a safe distance, they resumed their mission. Epyphany, barely conscious and lying in the pool, was in a bad way. Thoreau ran some tests and discovered a large gash on the back of her head, the result of being knocked unconscious. It was ironic. Getting tangled in the net might have saved her life, preventing her from drowning. Thoreau stitched up the wound and treated other external injuries, but he needed a portable scanner to check for internal damage. He headed back to the control room, where he could monitor the pool while also checking his contacts in Mumbai. Luckily, he found what he needed at one of Mumbai's biggest tourist attractions, the Water Kingdom, one of the world's largest water parks and aquariums. Thoreau knew some scientists there and arranged to borrow the scanner. After a brief discussion with Samu, he returned to Epiphany's side. During the overnight trip, the storm passed and the sea calmed. Thoreau watched the sun rise as Samu cruised just north of Mumbai harbour toward Manori. As they motored into Manori Creek, memories of a week spent at a beach resort there with Isha, an up-and-coming Bollywood actress, came to mind. Though not a fan of mock recreational environments, Thoreau had to admit the Water Kingdom's wave pool was impressive, capable of simulating several realistic surfing experiences. The Water Kingdom also housed state-of-the-art aquariums, where Thoreau had met several researchers. As soon as they docked, Thoreau confirmed his arrangements, then checked on Epyphany one last time before leaving. He had never used the portable scanner before and needed a couple of hours of instruction with the technicians. After Samu's report of a small vessel tailing them during the storm, Thoreau felt uneasy leaving her alone, but he had no choice. Manori Creek was a bustling tourist area, with high boat traffic and large yachts a common sight. Sarja's team had no trouble shadowing Samu and docking nearby. They had received an urgent, cryptic message from Sarja overnight: steal Thoreau's cargo without causing him serious harm. The instructions were vague, but they were told to procure equipment to safely transfer a very large dolphin to a holding tank on their boat and deliver it alive. No photos were to be taken, and they were sworn to secrecy, with promises of generous rewards for success and severe consequences for betrayal. They set to work, calling in favours and making threats as necessary. By the time they docked, the equipment was ready. That morning, while monitoring Thoreau's communications, they learned where he would be and how long he'd be gone. They were prepared to delay him if necessary. Extensive research into the Samudra Hantu before leaving Bali had given them substantial knowledge of Samu's systems and layout. As soon as Thoreau was in a taxi, the men headed for his yacht. They scrambled Samu's video surveillance, disabled onboard alarms and communication, and, posing as a research team, boldly moved the specialized tank and equipment to the ship's loading platform before entering. Samu immediately detected anomalies in her security system. unscheduled activity in several areas, malfunctioning security cameras and alarms, and a loss of outside communication. Thoreau never left her out of the loop when it came to visitors or deliveries. Whoever these intruders were, they didn't know who they were dealing with. She linked to a satellite feed, triggering a government protocol that demanded a minimum waiting period for security checks. Given Thoreau's regular customer status, his clearance wouldn't take long. She scanned recent audio and visual data from the lab and found she was now home to an unusual aquatic mammal in the dolphin family, injured and of utmost importance to Thoreau. He had programmed a direct link to monitor Epyphany's condition from his mobile phone, but the intruders had disabled that too. Fortunately, Samu still had direct access to the lab and an extensive archive of onboard audio and visual data. She needed to communicate with this creature. Samu accessed the most recent audio and searched for anything unusual from the past few weeks, finding several related recordings. There had been a mysterious broadcast interruption over a month ago, similar to Thoreau's latest studio composition. Samu created a loop of these two recordings and transmitted it over the lab speakers. She needed to alert Epyphany. Barely conscious, Epyphany felt as if she were floating in one of the shallow cavern temple pools. The familiar, soothing sound of the swall washed over her, easing her pain. Then the sound shifted to an alien percussive rhythm, punctuated by syncopated beats from indescribable instruments. The swall melody played over the rhythm, unfamiliar but not unpleasant. Though it wasn't from her world, Epyphany felt a strange connection to it. Fully awake now, Epiphany's memories of the Silver Fin events were disjointed, but then it came to her. She had seen Thoreau. The rest was a blank. She had no idea how she ended up in this pool, but she knew Thoreau must have been involved. Danger was imminent, and her instincts kicked in. As she scanned her surroundings, her vision blurred and a dull pain throbbed in her head. She became acutely aware of her injuries and knew she would have to move slowly. Epyphany sensed the approaching men and their intentions, but in her condition, and with little understanding of her current surroundings, she was helpless to defend herself. She decided to feign unconsciousness. Samu didn't have enough information to act immediately. She understood that Epyphany might be in fragile health and in danger, but didn't want to jeopardize her life. She would have to wait. Bliss was worried. She'd been unable to connect with Epyphany. Conjuring the protective sphere of water and manipulating the powerful wave had required her full attention. She was aware of Thoreau's good intentions, but questioned his decision to bring Epyphany to such a highly populated area. Due to Thoreau's fledgling language skills, Bliss found her ability to communicate with him limited at this distance. Like Samu, she had no choice but to wait. Chapter 29. Close Call. Saja's hired guns approached the lab door cautiously. Strange music echoed through the short hallway, a suspicious sign that Thoreau might have left something on intentionally. They had conducted a thermal scan of the ship before boarding, revealing only the expected dolphin in the lab. With weapons drawn, they entered. No sign of anyone, just a tail fin partly exposed at the end of a small tank. As they rolled their equipment into the lab, one of the men walked over to the tank. He jumped back and exclaimed, "Whoa! You guys have got to see this!" Epyphany lay on her side with her back to the men, struggling to suppress her survival instincts. Even in her weakened state, she could be terrifying if provoked. The other men rushed to the tank. "That ain't no dolphin." No wonder they said no pictures. "Turn it over." Realizing she was outnumbered, Epyphany let herself go limp. "Wow, that's one fine-looking fish. Looks like she put up a fight. She's got to be worth a fortune. Okay, guys, the show's over. We've got work to do." Recognizing her exceptional value, they took special care lifting her from the tank, gently slipping her into the transport tub. Samu, monitoring the situation, considered locking them in the lab but quickly dismissed the idea. The satellite feed had finally linked, allowing her to track their movements once they were in the open. While the men slowly rolled Epyphany to the platform, Samu used the feed to relay a message to Thoreau. Thoreau uploaded the scanner manual from the aquarium and was about to shut down his MacBook when it started beeping. He opened the feed and a message alert icon popped up. One click later, he was faced with the alarming message, "Thoreau, return to the ship immediately. Use extreme caution. You may be detained or followed. Samu." He had been only an hour into his instruction. Thoreau apologized, asked to borrow his friend's car, and had them pull it around back. An assistant helped secure the scanner, and after it was safely loaded, he drove slowly out of the lot, checking his mirrors constantly and resisting the urge to race back to his yacht. Samu, still monitoring the kidnappers' progress, was unsure how to proceed. Using GPS and real-time satellite video, she had locked her lasers on the team. She had no specific programming for this scenario, but had access to thousands of defense strategy simulations. After running the odds, she realized a timely intervention by Thoreau was unlikely. The mercenaries were almost to the boardwalk that lined the channel. Soon she would lose the opportunity for a clear shot. And still no sign of Thoreau. Epyphany's senses were on high alert. Ignoring the pain, she knew she would have to act quickly when the time was right. As her captors rolled her up the dock, she heard the water slapping against the large wooden supports. There was no way of knowing what lay between her and the water below. She felt the dolly level out and stop. Catching his breath, one of the men spoke. "I guess I'm getting a little soft." Then she heard a brief electric buzz, followed by a groan. A loud splash. Someone yelled, "Hey!" Then another buzz and a cry of pain as another man thumped against the tank. The other men scattered, yelling to each other as they ran for cover. Epyphany sprang out of the tank with all her strength, heading toward the sound of the splash. She was in the channel, more yelling above her. She dove, her head pounding and breathing uneven. She had to surface. Gasping for air, she found herself surrounded by boats of every shape and size, seemingly coming at her from every direction. She dove again and spotted a tunnel. Swimming through, she saw it opened into a narrow channel. She surfaced for air, then dove once more. She had momentarily escaped her captors. Confused and disoriented, she emerged only to find herself trapped in one of the world's largest man-made wave pools. People surrounded her on all sides, the air thick with the bewildering sound of screaming children and heavy metal music. She hadn't been discovered yet, but she knew it was just a matter of time. The waves pounded her as she tried to avoid the enthusiastic surfers. Epyphany dove into a wave and tried to hide inside as it barreled down the length of the pool. Swimming just inside the powerful wall of water, she could see through the thin barrier. At the end of the pool, people were jumping out of the water, screaming and pointing. Before she could figure out why, she felt something touch her tail fluke. The next instant, she was eye to eye with a young surfer. He had been sliding down the tube of rolling water, slicing the glass surface with one hand when he brushed her smooth fin. His eyes widened, and he pitched off his board, screeching like a wounded dog. Epyphany needed air. She had to surface. She caught a glimpse of a large dorsal fin breaking the surface and heading straight toward her. She instantly recognized Dali and burst through the wave to meet him. Grabbing his fin, she let him guide her out of the pool at top speed. People lined the pool, holding phones and video cameras. Most would only capture churning water and a streak of grey. Epyphany was weak, and they were not out of danger yet. Saja's men were still on the lookout, drawn by the noise. In all the confusion, Dali and Epyphany managed to remain undetected as they navigated the chutes and tunnels leading to the deeper waters of the marina. By now, Thoreau was back on the ship, quizzing Samu and checking satellite footage. He had underestimated Saja's appetite for revenge, never imagining she would go to such lengths to track him to the other side of the globe. Leaving Epyphany alone had been a mistake, one he would never forgive himself for if it resulted in her capture. Samu interrupted his thoughts. "Thoreau, Dali is at the platform, with Epyphany." Thoreau grabbed a cargo dolly and raced to the platform. As soon as Epyphany was safe inside the laboratory pool, Thoreau yelled, "Samu, let's get out of here. Activate stealth mode." If only I had thought to activate stealth earlier. The ship sped silently out of the marina and into the bay. Dali followed, swimming away from the dock as fast as he could. Neither stopped until the bright lights of Mumbai were far behind. We thank you for listening to another installment of this series. There are many more chapters to come, so we hope you subscribe and hit the bell so you can continue to join Epyphany and her tribe as they navigate the stormy seas into the transition.